Hi everyone, it's Hannah Ross. Welcome back to my channel. Now, I think a lot of people have thought, what would I spend my money on if I won the lottery? It's just so easy to dream about, and if you've been there before, I'm right there with you. I absolutely have dreamt of what I would do with a bunch of money if I won the lottery. But as a minimalist, and especially lately in the last few years, I've actually been thinking a lot more about what I wouldn't buy. I think it's a good mental exercise to see what your ethical standards are, your moral standards for consumption, and to see if minimalism would hold up to the ultimate test, which would be having an abundance of money. So oddly enough, I spend a decent amount of time thinking about things that I don't want to consume, things that I wouldn't bring into my life. And I have curated a list of 10 things that I would not buy, I would not purchase if I won the lottery. So let's just hop into the first item on the list. Let's start with a banger. I would not purchase a luxury vehicle. I'm not gonna lie, cars don't really appeal to me. I think I have the cheapest car that you can purchase in Canada. It's a Nissan Micra, by the way, if anyone's interested, and I absolutely love her. I just don't really see the draw towards luxury vehicles. Not only are they astronomically expensive, so that's one thing, but they're also more costly to maintain. If you have premium fuel, then it costs more to fill up your tank. They cost more for repairs and replacements. It costs more to insure these vehicles. It just seems like an absolute money suck. And I feel like if I were to own a luxury vehicle, I'd be a lot more concerned about the care of my car and if there was a dent or a nick, and I don't want to give mental energy towards that. If I wanted to upgrade for additional safety features, or I wanted a bigger vehicle for whatever reason, sure, fine. But I don't think that I would ever purchase a luxury vehicle with that high ticket price. Number 2, subscription services. I feel like I am going to come off a little unorthodox in this video, probably because I guess I am. But I don't like subscription services. I steer clear of them as much as humanly possible in my day-to-day life. I don't like the concept of paying for something every single month. I would much prefer to just pay a lump sum right up front. I feel like it's almost a hidden way of robbing you. I know that's a bit of a stretch, but those month-to-month payments, you don't see how impactful they are over a long period of time in comparison to the other side where, you might have a little bit of sticker shock, but you really know what you're getting yourself into, and you know the exact dollar amount that you're going to end up spending, as opposed to having a subscription service for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. You don't know necessarily if that's actually bringing you value for your dollar. And I know that they make sense for so many people, for so many things, and I know that not a lot of people can afford that high ticket price. I know why subscription services work, but having every single streaming service purchased just because there's one show on that one and one show on the other one, and having so many subscriptions that I can't even keep track of them anymore, is not something that I would do even if I won the lottery. I also find that a lot of these subscription services, not all, but a lot of them are distractions. And again, I'm trying to be a lot more intentional with my life. I'm actually really actively trying to limit the distractions in my life and bring in more time with the present. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's true. All right, so rant about subscription services is done. Moving on to the third thing that I would not buy, even if I won the lottery. It's a huge one. I would not buy a mansion. I absolutely would not buy a house that is so much bigger than my life. I think it's a good idea to strive for living in a home, apartment, house, condo, where you utilize all the space, where there's no rooms that are left unused, where there's not 6 guest rooms and 5 bathrooms, just actually using the spaces and having them all be intentional. Not only do I struggle with the concept of unused space in a home, but I also would just struggle with this idea of maintenance. The bigger house, the more problems, the more people you need to do the landscaping, the more items break down. More space would mean, more furniture that you would need to fill it, and it would be an absolute nightmare to clean. It's again that concept where I would spend so much mental energy just thinking about and maintaining my house. So yeah, the quintessential thing when you buy the lottery, buying a mansion, it just would not happen for me. Next up on the list is a wardrobe full of designer clothes. Now this one has a bit of a caveat because I would absolutely replace my fast fashion pieces with slow fashion, high-end garments. And some of those might even be designer. Some of them might be fairly luxurious in nature. But after everything that I've been through curating this minimalist wardrobe, I would not just stuff a bunch of designer goods in my wardrobe just to have a huge luxurious closet. This is not a popular opinion, but I have a little bit of a utilitarian side when it comes to clothes other than my dresses. I love my dresses. But for the rest of my clothes, I actually have like a uniform style. And I genuinely believe that I would stick to that. But again, as these pieces, needed replacing, I would go in with higher end items that were just really, really good quality, but not focused on the branding, not focused on it being, a designer brand, just focused on the superior quality. So yeah, I would not have a walk-in closet with rack upon rack of designer clothes. Next up is tech. And this one I kind of want to separate into two pieces. Number one, I would not get the newest upgrade of the tech I already own. I wouldn't go out and get the newest iPhone. I just don't believe in that, at least for me. I would not go and get the new frame TV. I love my Samsung frame TV. I wouldn't go out and get the newer model just because it's thinner. I really hope that I would use my technology until it's like planned obsolescence and then replace it with the newer model. And secondly, in the tech category, I would not buy new tech just to have it because they are little distraction pieces. So even if I had a boatload of cash, I wouldn't start filling every bedroom with a TV just because I have the money. I wouldn't buy an iPad if I had no use for an iPad and I totally was fine with my laptop and my cell phone. I wouldn't buy all of these additional tech pieces primarily because I know that they can tend to distract me. They can tend to take me away from, the present moment. And trust me, I don't need any more distractions. The amount of tech I have already, which is relatively small, I would say, is still more than enough to keep me more distracted than I would like. I still struggle with distraction. So I really don't think that I would bring a bunch of new tech in even if I won the lottery. The next thing I wouldn't buy is a pool, and let me be very specific. I mean a pool in Nova Scotia, Canada. It just doesn't make sense to have a pool when you really don't have a long summer and there's not a lot of nice weather. Somewhere like Cancun here, I could absolutely see having a pool. So it would be something that you would need to use like regularly, almost on an everyday basis for it to make sense, because if not, just the cost of maintaining a pool, of upkeeping a pool would certainly be enough to deter me even if I won the lottery. So yeah, this is one that my husband and I don't agree on, but I really do not think that I would own a pool if I did win the lottery, if I was in a climate where you could really only use that pool unheated for like a month or two of the year. Next up on the list is expensive jewelry. Now, this one is probably one that would tempt me the most because I do love jewelry. Even though I have a really small collection right now, I really love the pieces that I do own. But my problem would be how expensive and luxurious these pieces are. So for instance, if I bought like a diamond necklace, I wouldn't want to be in a position where I would be afraid to wear the necklace. I wouldn't want it to just collect dust in a safe. I want items that I'm actually comfortable wearing. And I think that I would be too fearful to wear extremely luxurious items. Even my wedding ring is something that I literally never take off. I never take off, and I'm very, very vigilant and cautious with it because of course it's a more expensive item. I can't imagine having like 10 of these pieces. One is like more than enough for me. And seeing how symbolic a wedding ring is and an engagement ring, I think it's totally fine to invest a little bit more in that. But beyond those two pieces, I wouldn't purchase extremely expensive jewelry. I would be way too afraid to wear it. And if I'm not wearing it and it's jewelry, then to me, what's the point? Next up on the list is actually custom or designer furniture. Essentially furniture that is so expensive that you don't want to sit on it. In a similar vein to the jewelry piece, I am a firm believer that, use what you have, wear what you have. And if you are too afraid to sit on your $10,000 couch or spill a coffee on it, then I really don't think that you should invest in that furniture. And there is a difference here. I'm not saying all household items. I actually think that something like art could be a really great way to spend money. It's a collectible, you can support a local artist that you love, and you're not gonna damage art in the same way that you could potentially damage a couch or a chair. So I really am talking about furniture specifically, high traffic furniture. You're not going to want a dining room table that you are afraid if you get a nick in. You're not going to want a couch that you're like have with those plastic wraps over it. You know what I mean. The one that was at your grandparents' house. Because I feel like it would inherently create a really anxiety-inducing environment for both me as the person who wants to protect this luxurious furniture and for my guests when I had people over. So that is certainly not something that I would spend my lottery winnings on. And another item, another group of items that I wouldn't, again, I feel like this is a classic. Once you start making big bucks, I would not buy a branded luxury handbag. Similar to the designer clothes. Could I see myself buying a good quality handbag? Sure. But I feel like most people buy their handbags to have that big Louis Vuitton symbol or a big Chanel C. They really are buying for the designer brand more as a status symbol than for the quality of the product. So not only am I not a handbag person, I literally have two purses and they're the exact same purse, just one in dark and one in light. But number two, if I did go to replace one of my purses, sure, I would amp up the quality, but I would look for almost anti-branding, almost no branding whatsoever. So a luxury handbag with that big designer logo on it is 100% guaranteed not something that I would purchase if I won the lottery. And last but certainly not least, another thing that I would not buy is a large boat / a yacht. Again, the crew, the maintenance, the gas, it's not good for the environment. The list goes on and on and on, and it's not serving a purpose like a house does. It's not a living space. It's like a complete and utter luxury. It's like the epitome of luxury. And again, I feel like I would use so much mental energy just in the thought of maintaining and upkeeping this boat. Now, all this being said, if I was lucky enough in my life to live on the water, I could see having like a small little boat. But even then, I would be extremely intentional and very selective. We actually had some boats growing up, and I know how hard they are to maintain. And unless we actually lived on water and had a real need for a boat, I just do not think that that is something that I would bring into my life willingly. So that is it. Those are the 10 things that I would not buy if I won the lottery. And like I reminded you at the beginning of this video, it is not to say, oh, look how great I am. Look at all these morals that I have. No, I have thought about purchasing all these things. I actually have to remind myself that these things wouldn't add any value to my life whatsoever. I think there's a natural inclination to want more in this life. And I think exercises like this can just go to show you what is truly important, what actually adds value in your life. And you can ask yourself, can I live with less, even if I was put in a situation where I had an abundance of resources? So that's all this video was meant to serve to do. If you want to, do this yourself and think of a few items that you really would not purchase if you did win the lottery, I'd be curious to see what you had to say. So leave that in the comments below if you want to play along with me. And thank you so much for, clicking on this video, for being a follower of my channel. It really means the world to me. If you did like it, feel free to give it a like. And if you like me, if you like the content that I produce here on my channel, definitely consider subscribing. All right, everyone, well, I'll just keep it short and sweet, and I really hope to see you in my next minimalism video. Bye.